heroin destroyed my life.
As a child, we fear the dark. We fear monsters with large teeth and sharp nails. We are told that these monsters do not exist. But what about the ones that do? What about the one that killed more people than the Vietnam War? Or the one that was involved in 4 out of every 5 drug-related deaths in Europe? Heroin. It is plaguing the United States, but instead of getting better, the problem seems to worsen. However, this monster seems foreign, something the majority of us do not bother to worry about. But it is a force that does not listen to reason. Your mother, aunt, best friend, or even you could easily be consumed by this dark being.
I'm Willard Booth, and sober for 7 years. I grew up in Crescent Springs, Kentucky, northern Kentucky. And, I went to school to Dixie Heights. It's definitely a suburban type school.
I got sober on December 10th, 2006. I grew up in Anderson. I went to Catholic grade school, Catholic high school. I started drinking when I was 13, and probably by the time I was a junior in high school, I was a full-blown alcoholic. I was in varsity sports.
My name's Brandon, and I'm a recovering heroin addict. I got clean May 5th of 2005. Grew up originally in Hamilton, and then my parents moved to Indian Hill in 93, and then I went to high school in Indian Hill. Yeah, I did all the drugs. So I smoked crack in high school, sold a lot of drugs in high school, stuff like that, acid, pot. Got friends involved in it in the early 90s. And it wasn't a big thing like it is now. It's very hard to find heroin in Cincinnati then. So I was introduced to heroin, I think actually did some in like 96 when I was 19. To fast forward, I went to San Diego in 96 when I was 19. I was selling drugs out there for a long time, stayed away from all the harder stuff. I was with a crew that wasn't acceptable. I eventually started selling weed at the beach, and then I got introduced to heroin again in 99, and that's when everything went down. Yep.
I first got introduced to Oxycontins when I was probably about 21, but I probably didn't start doing them until when I was 23.
And then it just led from Oxy to
heroin, yeah. I was able to maintain and function on like smoking weed and maybe doing an occasional Xanaxes and things like that, but once I got started on the opiates, it totally destroyed my life.
I was drinking and smoking a lot of pot, and for some specific reason that night it just nothing was working, and that's when I tried heroin and cocaine with a needle. I just didn't stop. I kept doing it until I was 28.
I was only 24 really when I started doing heroin and got addicted to it, and from 24 to 34 was the extent of me doing it. Like, I was addicted to heroin for 10 years, and then over that period I lost everything like 3 times over, and I was in and out of jail because of my addiction.
It was May 4th of 2005. It was like pouring down rain. In San Francisco, there's like an area you walk down to like Market Street. It's like downtown. But I was up in this other area and I walked down the street. I'm basically about to have a nervous breakdown. And it was pouring rain and I'm just walking through streets. No red light, no, I didn't care. Walked right in traffic. Didn't care. Did it for 8 blocks. No one hit me, so I made it to Market Street. So I sat on Market Street in this doorway and I was like, I gotta do, this isn't working. So I went to this shelter to stay the night, and you can't lay down, you have to sleep in a plastic chair. A lot of mental illness, people are screaming all night, the monsters are there, and I'm just like losing my mind that I'm in this place.
And when you're lost in addiction, when you're hopeless and you live on the streets and you're begging for food and you're begging for money, and there's no way out. You don't see a way out.
I ended up going to prison for 5 years. So, and that's when I said that's when I had enough. Since then, I'm never used again.
It was May 5th. It was sunny. I bummed a cigarette from one of the guys that worked there, and I said, I'm done. I'm never doing this again. And I walked all the way down to the San Francisco County Jail and turned myself in. I said, I'm done. I'll do whatever you want. I will never do this again.
At this point, I had been shooting heroin for almost 8 years. And so I didn't have any veins left in my body, because when you use a needle, it destroys your veins. And I just remember it was like I was lifted out of my body and looking down on myself, and I saw who I was. I saw myself from another point of view. I saw my grandma and my grandpa picking me up out of a body bag. I saw myself dead. I saw the hurt in my family's eyes. I did something that I've done 100 times before, and I called my grandma and I told her I wanted to come home and get sober.
3 things to be prepared for. You're going to go to prison, you're going to lose everything you have, and you're going to die. There's years I lost, there's tons of things. I've lost everything. I would restart and build it all up. It's much easier just to go the path that's set before you and just figure it out as you go.
Drug addiction will tear apart a family. Drug addiction will tear apart a person. But there is hope. People can get sober. My advice for anyone in high school who is drinking heavily or doing pills or doing drugs is you should wake up.